Ahoy! One time when I was in a bookshop, I heard a tourist ask someone if they knew any books that were set in London, and that made me think about books that I would recommend. So today I want to talk to you about my 5 favorite books that are set in London. And I would like to start with Bridget Jones's Diary by Helen Fielding. And as you probably already know, Bridget Jones's Diary is about the 32-year-old Bridget who smokes and drinks a little bit too much and dates the wrong men, and she buys a diary in an effort to improve her life. It's kind of based on Pride and Prejudice, and it's mostly just a lot of fun. The book takes place in different parts of London. In the book, Bridget lives near Holland Park, but I think the setting that will be more familiar to most of you is the one of Bridget's house in the movie adaptation. Bridget lives on Bendale Street next to Borough Market above a pub called The Globe, and in the movie she always walks across Tower Bridge to get to her publishing job. Book number 2, The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. This book was first published in 1951. It is an apocalyptic story, and the main character is a man called Bill Mason. Bill Mason wakes up in a hospital one morning after having had eye surgery, and everything around him has gone very quiet. What happened while he was sleeping was that there was a meteor shower and a green flash of light. Everyone who was looking at the meteor shower is now blind. There are these weird plants called Triffids that people have had in their front yard for a really long time. They're slightly odd and they move by themselves, but everything seems fine as long as you keep them on a little chain, because the wild ones can kind of lash out and sting you. Almost everyone is blind and running around the streets panicking. These plants start moving and now have the upper hand. Now this book has the iconic setting of an abandoned London. So in the beginning of this book, Bill Mason wanders around the empty streets of London, seeing all the famous landmarks. I've actually done a full review of this book before, so if you want to see that, I'll put a link in the description. Number 3, you knew this one was going to be in here, Harry Potter. The book about the boy who finds out he's a wizard, who gets to go to London with Hagrid and discover all these new magical places, including the pub The Leaky Cauldron on Charing Cross Road, which leads him into Diagon Alley, and of course platform 9 3/4 at King's Cross Station. Fun fact, J.K. Rowling was actually thinking about Euston Station when she was describing platform 9 and 10. So in the movies they had to use platform 4 and 5 at King's Cross because there was actually a wall in the middle they could use. And of course next to King's Cross there is St. Pancras Station, which you can see in the second movie when Ron and Harry fly off in the Ford Anglia. Number 4, Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. The stories of the famous detective Sherlock Holmes and his sidekick Dr. Watson, who live in London at 221B Baker Street. The first Sherlock Holmes story was published in 1887, and in total there are 4 novels and 56 short stories. Now these days, if you go to the Baker Street tube stop, there's actually a statue of Sherlock Holmes, and you can discover the house of Sherlock and Watson at the Sherlock Holmes Museum. And then finally, number 5 is a book that I haven't quite finished yet, but I know will be a favorite. It is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. This one is too good to miss out on because it is so much connected to London. The story is about a guy called Robert Mayhew who has moved from Scotland to London. One day he finds a girl who is bleeding on the street and he decides to help her. But what he doesn't know is that this girl comes from the London below, and by helping her he becomes part of London below and other people can't see him anymore. First of all, in this book there's lots of just general references to locations in London. For example, the Tower of London and the National Gallery. The London below is very much connected to the London Underground. And there's even a tube map in the front of the book with all the names of the stops and the dates they opened and closed. I think at some point the British Museum also played a big part in this book, so I'm very excited to see what references this book will have in store for me. I hope you enjoyed this literary tour of London. I know that there are lots of other great books that are set in London, so maybe I can do another video like this in the future. And of course in the comments you can let me know what your favorite books are that are set in London. I'll talk to you guys later. Doei!
Hell, me cool.